शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि. Om. Dear friends, welcome to the study of the Yogasutras. We are in this third pada, that is Vibhuti pada. We read sutra number 4. Sutra number 4, that is Pratyekatata Dhyanam and Trayam Ekatra Sanyamaha. So in the beginning, to start with, in the Vibhuti pada, he first defined what is Dharana, what is Dhyana, and what is Samadhi. So all the three put together, that is collectively, they are known as, there is a technical word for that, that is called Sanyama. And this Sanyama is one word which we see in Vedanta also. Sanyami, Yanisha Sarvabhutanam, Tasyan Jagrati, Sanyami. There is so many times it is used, that Sanyami. One who has that Sanyama is called Sanyami. So what is this Sanyama? So this Sanyama is used as a sort of technical term. So the definition for Samadhi, that is, he gave one definition for Samadhi. What is that? After defining Dharana and Dhyanam, Deshabandha Chittasya Dharana, that is focusing the mind on a particular thing. Dhyanam, that Patyaya Ekatanata Dhyanam, that is a stream, a continuous stream of similar thought. So that is what is Dhyanam. Then Arthamatra Nirbhasam Swarupa Shunyamiva Samadhi, he said. Arthamatra Nirbhasam. So that Dhyaya Artha, that alone is shining, and as though the mind has disappeared. As though it has not totally disappeared. So that is what is Samadhi. So that Samadhi also is only a sort of sadhana. It is not the final stage. So when these three things put together, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi put together, they are called Sanyama, which again becomes a sadhana for Samprajnata Samadhi. For Samprajnata Samadhi, and also for, of course, for the next stage also. For Samprajnata Samadhi, it is going to be an Antaranga sadhana. What is Antaranga, Bhajiranga, we are just going to see. So fourth sutra said, Trayam Ekatra Sanyamaha, it said. That is the collective, the three collectively are called Sanyama. So I will now show the text. Trayam Ekatra Sanyamaha. These three limbs taken together is Sanyama. Then, okay, this Sanyama somehow commentators have not translated into English because Vyasa himself says it is a technical term. So the person has attained them, yeah. Tadetat Dharana Dhyana Samadhi Trayam Ekatra Sanyamaha. Okay. Then the next sutra we have to see. Tat Jayat Prajnalokaha. Tat Jayat Prajna plus Alokaha. Prajnalokaha. It is not Prajna plus Lokaha. Prajna Alokaha. Alokam is light. Prakasha. That is, Prakasha is the understanding becomes clearer and clearer. Our understanding, our prajna, our when we are in this meditation, suppose you are doing this Samprajnata Samadhi on a particular God form or some other thing, and in that prajna, the knowledge relating to that becomes clearer and clearer. That is Prajnayaha Alokaha. Prajnaloka is Prajnayaha Alokaha. That is the brilliance, or rather the greater clarity in that prajna. Tat Jayat. Tat Jayat means by achieving that. That means we are referring to the earlier sutra referred to Sanyama. By achieving that Sanyama, the light of knowledge, Prajnalokaha, there is greater clarity in whatever we are contemplating. Suppose you are contemplating on some God form, that is Samprajnata Samadhi. So on that, in that Samprajnata Samadhi, whatever is that Artha, whatever is that object, so our knowledge becomes clearer and clearer. Prajnayaha Alokaha. Tasya Sanyamasya Jayat Samadhi Prajnayaha Bhavati Alokaha. Tasya Sanyamasya Jayat. He is just repeating the sutra in other words. So by achieving that Sanyama, this light of knowledge, Bhavati Alokaha, that is Alokaha means brilliance, more light, brilliance, clarity, clearer understanding. Then Yatha Yatha Sanyamaha Sthirapado Bhavati. Yatha Yatha means just as, or as and how, just as. Sanyamaha Sthira Padaha Bhavati. Sthira Padam is firmly footed. Sthira is very firm. Pada. Sthira Padaha means firmly footed, when it becomes firmly footed. Tatha tatha, accordingly, tatha tatha is accordingly. Samadhi prajna visharadi bhavati. Samadhi prajna, the knowledge, or rather prajna, what can we say? The knowledge arising in that samadhi. Samadhi prajna, knowledge arising in that samadhi. Or whatever subject you are thinking on. So on that particular subject, you are having great clarity and very clearly you are identifying yourself. The mind is identifying totally with that particular object. So that is what is that samadhi. So the knowledge arising in that samadhi becomes clearer accordingly. Visharadi bhavati. Vaisharadyam. Vaisharadyam is clarity. Vaisharadyam. So there is one commentator writes, Vaisharadyamcha Ati Sukshmam Avyavahitadyarthanam Parapratyakshikaranam Samarthyam. So even something which is not known to the Indriyas, we are able to see, we are able to know. Prajna Vaisharadyam is with our, that is intuitive knowledge, we can say. What he says is Sukshma Avyavahitadyarthanam Parapratyakshikaranaya Pratyakshikaranam Samarthyam. That is intuitive knowledge. By intuition you are able to know certain things. Yeah, is also a good definition because say what he is saying is, for example, our rishis who gave us the Vedic mantra, the Veda mantras, they have given such great truths. So those great truths in such meditation only they must have got those truths. For example, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is a very great discovery. That is to say that the supreme reality is one infinitely pervading consciousness. It is a great discovery of that time. So that discovery is by intuitive knowledge because you are not able to see that. You are not able to see that. You are only feeling it. You think, yes, I am not different from that. So this is the intuitive knowledge, Vaisharadyam. We can also call it a sort of intuitive knowledge. Then comes to the next sutra. Tasya bhumishu viniyogaha. Tasya means of that sanyama. Bhumishu, bhumi we know. Bhumi means various planes, various levels in which we are. That is in yoga bhumi. We are now talking about the yoga bhumikas. In these yoga bhumikas, in succeeding planes of samadhi, bhumishu, in succeeding planes of samadhi. Suppose you have achieved one particular level. The same sanyama is needed to achieve the next level. The same sanyama is needed to achieve the next higher level. So the sanyama becomes a tool. Sanyama itself becomes a sadhana. So tasya bhumishu viniyoga. Viniyoga karaniyaha. That's all. Viniyoga means use, employ. You have to employ it. Viniyoga karaniyaha or viniyoga kurtaha. Kriyate, whatever you want to say. Of that sanyama, bhumishu, in the succeeding planes of samadhi, viniyoga, application or use. This is used in the succeeding planes of samadhi. That is, in order to achieve the next level, you have to achieve this particular level properly, and only then you can achieve the next level. If you have not achieved the present level, you can't skip it and then you can't go to the next level. You can't skip one level and go to the next level. That can happen. There is no question of skipping because when we talk about people who were born with Brahmajnana, Vasishtha, Vamadeva, etc. So those people, because of the Purva Kruta Karma and whatnot, they were born with Brahmajnana. But then any other person, he has to go through various stages only. So Sanyama is applied in the succeeding planes of Samadhi. We have to take this succeeding. I have introduced this word. Bhumishu means when you have achieved one particular level, only then you can go to the next level. There is no question of promotion just like that, like in our exams. Tasya sanyamasya jita bhumehe ya anantara bhumihi tatra viniyogaha. Tasya sanyamasya, that is after of this sanyama. Jita bhumehe means after achieving one particular bhumi, after achieving one particular plane. Anantara bhumihi tatra viniyogaha. Ya anantara bhumihi, whatever is the next stage, ya anantara bhumihi, that is the succeeding plane. There, this sanyama has to be used again, and you have to conquer it. So that is, at every level, this dharana, dhyana, samadhi is needed. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi, all put together. What dharana, dhyana, samadhi, in those three sanyama, in the definition of sanyama, that samadhi is also there. But that is also a tool, that is also a sadhana for a higher samadhi. So we are talking about a lower samadhi. We are talking about three levels of samadhi. That one samadhi which is embedded in that definition called sanyama. The other two samadhis, that is Sampragnata Samadhi and Asampragnata Samadhi. So there are three levels of three samadhis which we are seeing in this text. So tasya sanyamasya jita bhumehe ya anantara bhumihi, ya whatever is that next succeeding plane, in that plane we are supposed the immediately succeeding plane, it has to be used. Vinyoga. Vinyoga means it has to be applied. It is applied. Nahi ajitadhara bhumihi. Nahi ajita adhara bhumihi. Ajita, not conquered. Adhara means the lower. Adhara bhumihi, a person who has not conquered the lower bhumi. Ajitadhara bhumi. Ajitadhara bhumihi is referring to a person. Ajitam, adharam, bhumihi, adhara bhumi. Adhara bhumi is Strilinga. Yena sa ajitadhara bhumihi. So we can take like that. Bahurihi samasa. Ajitadhara bhumihi. That means one who has not conquered the earlier plane, the present plane. Anantara bhumim vilangya. So he can't vilangya means he can't jump it. He can't skip it. He can't skip it and then anantara bhumim vilangya. Pranta bhumishu sanyamam labhate. Pranta bhumi means again the higher levels. Pranta bhumi, he is talking about the higher levels. Pranta bhumi, pranta actually means anta pra plus anta. That is next higher. In that sense it is used. Pranta bhumishu sanyamam labhate. Samyamam na labhate. That na has to be brought here. That na sanyamam labhate. So one bhumi, if you want to ulangya, vilangya means jumping over or skipping it. Pranta bhumishu na sanyamam labhate. Tad abhavacha krutaha tasya prajnalokaha. Tad abhavacha, not krutaha, kutas tasya prajnalokaha. There is a question mark actually. Tad abhavacha, in the absence of it, in the absence of that, in the absence of achieving that particular plane, where is the question of prajnaloka? There is no question of prajnaloka, there is no question of light or knowledge. When you are skipping one plane and trying to go to the next higher plane. Then, Ishvara prasadat jitottara bhumikasya. Ishvara prasadat, by the grace of God, jita uttara bhumikasya. So you have conquered a particular higher level. Jita uttara bhumi. Uttara bhumi means higher bhumi. Then for that man, na adhara bhumishu parachitta jnanadishu sanyamaha yuktaha. Na adhara bhumishu. Suppose in a lower plane, you have got some siddhi. Parachitta jnana. Suppose I have got some siddhi, saying that I can know your mind. So if I know that particular thing, and while achieving the other plane, next higher plane, I should not be busy trying to know your mind. I should not be busy engaged in trying to know what is there in somebody's mind. So these siddhis, they are traps. These siddhis are traps. As I said, I am yet to see people who have these siddhis. People say that they have seen, for example, there are people who swear about Satya Sai Baba, who swear about another gentleman called Bala Sai Baba in Karnool, who swear on many other people, but I have not seen. Probably they did not show in front of me, so I'm not very sure. So, but then Vedanta very clearly says there are siddhis. Yoga Shastra also says there are siddhis. Probably great people might have been there, and the people probably showed some siddhis. So that is the reason why people are behind them. If they had not seen any siddhis, why would people go? So anyway, Ishvara Prasada Jitottara Bhumikasya cha na adhara bhumishu parachitta jnanadishu sanyamaha yuktaha. Suppose I am devoting my sadhana, my weapon called sanyama, my weapon or my astram, let me say. Weapon may use maybe in a negative sense. My astram called sanyama, I am using it in order to know this parachitta jnana, to know somebody else's mind. So that is not proper. Na yuktaha. Na yuktaha means it is not proper. That means we are stuck there only. We are stuck there only, and we are not going to. There is no point. Achieving a higher plane. So na parachitta jnanadishu sanyamaha yukta. Kasmat, why? Tadarthasya anyata eva avagatatvat. Tadarthasya means tat prayojanam. Tad artha is prayojanam. That particular whatever aim or whatever objective you are talking about, whatever parachitta jnanam or something else. So that thing is already achieved by something else. That is just achieved by even other lower things. For example, we were talking about Shuchi, all those things. Yama, Niyama, Asana, even by them, certain things are achieved. There is no point, there is no need for a higher plane. Having achieved a higher plane, we need not get stuck in some siddhis, which are the result of a lower plane. So the translation is tadarthasya anyataha eva. Anyataha eva means by somebody, by something else, by something lower actually, by something else. Avagatatva means it is already known because it is known. For a person who by divine grace has achieved a higher plane, it is improper to use sanyama for interests like reading the mind of others. Why? It is because it is already known in a lower level as an accident, as an incidental achievement. Incidental achievement is that siddhi. When you are practicing something, there is also a siddhi. Then some people they also say yes, whatever flash comes to their mind, that comes true. So people do say, and we come across people who talk about such minor siddhis. Then bhumehe asyaha iyam anantara bhumihi ityatra yogaha eva upadhyayah. Bhumehe asyaha means asyaha bhumehe anantaram. Asyaha bhumehe anantaram means beyond this particular bhumi which I have conquered, which I have achieved, which I have mastered. Beyond a particular bhumi which I have mastered, bhumehe asyaha iyam anantara bhumihi. So this is the next higher plane. I have achieved a particular plane, and what is the next higher plane? And who is the teacher? Who is the teacher or who is the guide there? So the yoga itself is the guide, he says. Because there, even the teacher may not be able to help. The teacher, of course, he is required in a preliminary stage. Teacher is very much required. Okay, this is how you have to do. You have to swim, for example. It's something like a swimming coach. This coach, he is only there to tell you certain techniques. So after telling the techniques, the guru with us, guru, in fact, even in the Vedanta, we read that guru is only some sort of guide. So guru is somewhat like a lamp post. That is what people say. Some teachers, they compare him to a lamp post. So you don't get, there are rather a road signboard. So you go this way. So then, but you don't, even with all the love and affection for the teacher, we don't stay there only, isn't it? So we cross the board and move further. So teacher is needed in the initial stages, but after a particular level, your own sadhana, your own yoga, you have achieved a particular level, that gives you some intuitive knowledge. That itself gives you some intuitive knowledge of what you are and what we are supposed to do. And there, of course, we should not cheat ourselves. If we cheat ourselves, naturally, there is no point. There is no point doing yoga. Instead of doing yoga, one can sit quiet at home. So when we are really very sincerely trying to do yoga, then yoga itself is the teacher as you go ahead. Bhumeha asyaha yam anantara bhumihi. This is the next level. Ityatra, on that point, yoga eva upadhyayah. Yoga itself is the guide. It is the teacher to say as to which plane is above the present plane. Then, katham evam hyuktam. How it is told in this particular fashion. Evam hyuktam. Evam hi uktam. Because it is said like this. Then yogena yogo jnatavyo yogo yogat pravartate. Yo apramattastu yogena sa yoge ramate chiram iti. Katham yogena yogo jnatavyaha. That is, yoga itself, when you are practicing, it gives you some intuitive knowledge of where you are, where exactly you are. And you also feel, if you are also having some siddhis, etc., you also feel it. And of course, we need not get busy. If we get busy in that, we are stuck there. If we totally ignore them, we may feel it, we may be aware of it, but we need not tell others, we need not advertise to people, and then you just ignore it and then go ahead. So that is how yogena yogo jnatavya. Yogaha yogat pravartate. Yogaha yogat pravartate. From one step of yoga, you are progressing to the next step of yoga. That is, yoga progresses from yoga. So that is what it means. Yogo yogat pravartate. Yo apramattastu yogena. Yaha apramattaha. The person who is apramatta, a person who is not trapped in the siddhis, a person who is not attracted by the siddhis and led astray by the siddhis. So such person, apramattastu yogena, sa yoge ramate chiram. That particular yogi, ramate chiram, he is there, he is on the right path, and he is there for a long time. He he is in a happy state. Ramate means enjoys. What is he enjoying? That state of yoga itself is the enjoyment. It is not as though he is having some more siddhis, etc. He is attaining that samprajnata samadhi or asamprajnata samadhi. And in that samadhi, he is very happy. Sa yoge ramate chiram. This is said to be from one Upanishad. For the first time I heard its name. That is Saubhagya Lakshmi Upanishad. Saubhagya Lakshmi Upanishad. We know that there are certain Vaishnava Upanishads, there are some Shaiva Upanishads, there are some Shakta Upanishads, etc. So among the Shakta Upanishads, the Shakti, sometimes she is Parvati, and sometimes Kali or something, and sometimes Saraswati, Rahasya Upanishad, some Saraswati. Sometimes this is the time when Lakshmi also is treated as that Parashakti. Like in Shakti tradition, they treat that Parashakti as the supreme. And in that Parashakti only this Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, they do appear. Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. They are three forms of that same Parashakti. So here, this Saubhagya Lakshmi, she is said to be the Parashakti. She is equated with that Parashakti. And Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, they are the three evolutes, or rather three aspects of that Parashakti. So that is how there is a very minor Upanishad. Saubhagya, if you take the book called 108 Upanishads, you will get that name, Saubhagya Lakshmi Upanishad, Lakshmi plus Upanishad, Saubhagya Lakshmi Upanishad. So yoga, in the very, almost in the very beginning, this shloka is there. Yogena yogo jnatavaya. So one who is alert in yoga dwells happily in yoga for a long time. That means when you are successfully going, when you are successfully performing yoga, then you are in that particular position in a very undisturbed manner. So the word alert implies that the yogi should not get attracted to siddhis. Then the next sutra is Trayam Antarangam Purvebhyaha. So this Trayam is this group of three, that is Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. They are Antarangam. They are these three, that group is internal. When we say is, I am referring to that group. This group is internal. Purvebhyaha, compared to the earlier five. Internal to what? Internal to Samprajnata Samadhi. We are talking about Samprajnata Samadhi here. This group of three is internal to Samprajnata Samadhi. So we know that Samprajnata Samadhi is where the mind is focused on a particular object. That object is very much there. Even that object has disappeared, that is Asamprajnata Samadhi. Nirbija Samadhi it is also called. So this group of three, this group of three is internal. That is internal to Samprajnata Samadhi when compared to the earlier five. The earlier five are Yamaniyam, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara. So they are very much necessary steps. They are very much necessary steps to reach this particular stage. But when you are in this Samadhi, they will be there outside only. In this Samadhi, this Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi, what we talked about, that lower level Samadhi, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, they are internal in the sense Antaranga. The actual word is Antaranga. We know this word called Antah-karanam. What is Antah-karanam? Antah-karanam. Karanam is organ. Antah-karanam, the inner organ. That is what we call the mind. Mind is called the Antah-karanam. So similarly, Antaha, Angam, Antarangam. Antaha is inner, Angam is limb. Like Antah-karanam, this is again an Antarangam, inner limb. Inner limb means it is part and parcel of that Samadhi. It is not without these things. That Samadhi itself is not there. Without these things, the Samadhi itself cannot be there. So that is the reason why it is called Antaranga. Antaranga it is part and parcel of it. It is somewhat similar to what I was saying about Karma Yoga yesterday. Karma Yoga is Bahiranga. Karma Yoga is outside. Whereas Dhyanam, etc., that is Antaranga. Dhyanam is Antaranga Sadhanam. Whereas Karma Yoga is that Bahiranga Sadhanam. Because Karma Yoga is like a detergent. I was giving the example of a detergent. When we take bath, when we apply soap, again we pour water and then get rid of the soap. So like that, Karma Yoga is slightly away in that. Whereas here, this Dhyana and Samadhi, they are very much Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. They are very much part of this Samprajnata Samadhi. So that is why it is called internal or Antaranga, that is inner. when compared to the earlier 5. The means for yoga are the 8 limbs we have seen. The first 5 are preparatory steps which purify the mind, and hence they are external with reference to samadhi. Once the mind is purified, so it's like cleaning a cup and then pouring some coffee or tea into that. Once the cup is cleaned, then there is no need for all other whatever is the cleaning equipment. So then you pouring knowledge into that cup. So it is that dhyana and dharana. So with reference to samadhi, the next 3 are part and parcel of the samadhi, and hence called antarangam, the internal limb. Then tadeta dharana dhyana samadhi trayam antarangam samprajnatasya samadhehe purvebhyo yamadibhya panchabhya sadhanebhya iti. So when compared to the earlier purvebhya, means the earlier ones, yamadibhya, yamaniyamasana adibhya, then panchabhya, the first 5 compared to these panchabhya sadhanebhya, the first 5 sadhanas compared to whatever was told earlier, the 5 sadhanas. Etat dharana dhyana samadhi trayam, this trayam, this triad, or rather this this group of 3, it becomes the antarangam samprajnatasya samadhi. It becomes the antarangam, the inner organ. It becomes an essential component. Essential, yeah, we can say component also, because it is angam, antaha angam, the essential component of a samprajnata samadhi. Then tadapi bahirangam nirbijasya. Yeah, that also becomes bahirangam nirbijasya, nirbija samadhehe. For that nirbija samadhi, this tadapi, that means sanyama. This sanyama becomes bahiranga. This sanyama is antaranga sadhanam for samprajnata samadhi. For nirbija samadhi or asamprajnata samadhi, where even the dhyaya vastu is also not there, you are totally trying to see, totally trying to remove all the samskaras, all those, no, samskara, shesha is there, samskara will be there, all the chitta vrittis. Chitta vritti is different and samskara is different. We are going to see in the next sutra. So this chitta vrittis, all the chitta vrittis are removed. So here this chitta vritti relating to dhyayakara vritti is there. In samprajnata samadhi, there is what is called a dhyayakara vritti. So the mind is in that particular state, in that particular form. The mind has assumed that particular form. Whereas in the asamprajnata samadhi, there is no dhyaya. There is no dhyaya. You are just trying to eliminate all the thoughts, eliminate all the vrittis, and then just remain. Chittam remains in that samskara shesha. That is what we are going to see in the next sutra. Samskara shesha. Just only samskaras remain. It is in that just potential state. And all the thought frames or vrittis, they are totally removed. So tadapi bahirangam nirbijasya. Even that, the sanyama is bahirangam, is something which is external to, for the seedless nirbija. What is that seedless bija? That is, so long as the bija is not roasted, it has got the capacity to sprout. So here the bija also has been roasted. That is how it is called a nirbija samadhi. The bija has been roasted and they cannot again sprout. So this is asamprajnata samadhi. This we discussed. What is the nirbija samadhi? We discussed in the first chapter. So even that group of 3, sanyama, is external with respect to the seedless samadhi. Then tadapi antarangam sadhanatrayam nirbijasya yogasya bahirangam bhavati. Tadapi. What is that? Tat means that antarangam sadhanatrayam. So these 3 which become the internal, the 3 which become the internal means, antarangam sadhanam, the internal means for that sadhanam, that becomes nirbijasya yogasya bahirangam bhavati. With reference to nirbija yoga, with reference to seedless yoga, it becomes bahiranga. It is there, it is useful. But then after coming to that level, it is there right at the gate. It is somewhat like your gatekeeper. So that gatekeeper ushers in somebody. Suppose some guest comes in. The gatekeeper ushers in the gentleman. And then the person stands at the gate only. He also doesn't come in. So that is like a bahiranga sadhana. So bahirangam bhavati. It is there outside only. Kasmat tadabhave bhavat. Tadabhave eva. Nirbijasya bhavat. Bhava means coming into existence. So nirbija can happen only in the absence of tadabhave. In the absence of this samyama also, in the absence of samyama means samyama is used as a weapon, is used as a tool. And after using it as a tool, then the next stage, even that dharana, dhyana, all that meditation and all those things also go away. All that there in the meditation, dhyana involves a stream of thought. So here, when pure nirodha, nirbija samadhi, even that stream of thought is not there. So tad abhave bhavat, in the absence of that samyama, it happens. Well, as long as that samyama is there, it cannot happen. So it's like that. So even the nearest family members will not be there when the husband and wife are together. It is like that. Tadabhave bhavat. So the higher samadhi can happen when even the stage of samyama is also surpassed. The higher samadhi can happen when even the stage of samyama also is surpassed. Even that samyama stage also has to go. Samyama still indicates why is it so? Because samyama, this is my note actually, it is not translation. Samyama still indicates the presence of mind. Because the mind, with the mind only, you are doing dharana, you are doing dhyana, you are doing samadhi. So the mind also has to be totally almost, it has to be subsided. So that is the next stage. So the seedless samadhi or asampragnata samadhi is when the mind merely remains in that potential stage. Just merely remains in that potential state. That is, we saw in that earlier sutra 1-18 in the first adhyaya, in the first chapter. Virama pratyaya abhyasa purvaha samskara shesho anyaha. So he was talking about the para vairagya, the higher level of vairagya, as opposed to the lower level of vairagya, which was discussed earlier in the earlier sutra. So in 1-18, we saw what is called para vairagya. That is the highest level of dispassion. So by practicing that highest level of dispassion, abhyasa purva, virama pratyayasya abhyasa purva, then samskara sheshaha. Then the mind remains only at the level of samskaras. There are no chitta vrittis. Chitta vritti is different and samskara is different. Of course, chitta vrittis form samskaras. Chitta vrittis, they form samskaras. And samskaras again may cause chitta vrittis. Samskaras, why may? Samskaras also do cause chitta vrittis. So samskaras are there when that latent potential impressions which are there. So they should not rise up. Once they rise up, they become knowledge, they become pratyayas, they become vrittis, they become pratyayas. So long as they don't rise up, they are still at the samskara stage only. So that is what we are going to see now. So the samyama, the seedless samadhi, is when the mind merely remains in that potential state, in that samskara avastha. Samskara shesha anyaha. You please read the commentary under 1-18 again, so you will understand it clearly. So this seedless samadhi, this nirbija samadhi, it happens when that state of samyama is also surpassed. It is not as though you are ignoring it. In that state as you have surpassed, that's all. You have gone beyond it. Then devoid of all deliberate activity, potential state, devoid of all deliberate activity like concentration and meditation. So dharana, dhyana, etc., all the deliberate activity, it's a deliberate activity. So that means mind is very much operative. So that also has to cease. When all that ceases, then that nirbija samadhi. So that is the reason why this samyama is said to be bahiranga sadhanam for nirbija samadhi. It is antaranga sadhanam for sampragnata samadhi. It is bahiranga sadhanam for the next level, that is asampragnata samadhi. Then we come to the next sutra. Yeah, now he is talking about mind. What is the state of mind in that nirodha stage? That nirodha, when you are doing that nirodha, chitta vritti nirodha, entire nirodha, then what is the state of mind? Because mind is a product of the three gunas. We know that the whole universe is, it consists of only these three gunas. The three constituents of the universe are the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. And naturally, on the entire Panchamaha Bhutani, all the five elements, they are again made of these three gunas only. And our body-mind complex, not only our body-mind complex, even from starting from an ant, all the bodies and the antahkaranas, they are all product of the sattva guna, rajoguna and tamoguna of these five elements only. The sattva aspect goes to the making of the mind and the indriyas. The rajoguna aspect goes to the making of prana, that is energy body as we call it. And tamoguna aspect goes to the making of the gross body, that is blood, bones, flesh, etc. So all those things. So these three are very much there. So mind is a product of these three. Mind is a product of this tamoguna, sattva guna aspect of the five elements. So when that is so, and what is the nature of the gunas? Gunas are always bubbling with energy. They're always sattva guna, oh, it's bubbling with energy, it wants to dominate. Rajo guna, similarly, it wants to dominate. Then again, tamaguna, it also is bubbling with energy. So all these three are bubbling with so much of energy. And we see it in the Gita also. When sattva, rajas sattvam, abhibhuya, something like that shloka is there somewhere in, I think, 4th or 5th adhyaya. So rajas sattvam abhibhuya, I forget the shloka. Anyway, these three are trying to dominate one another. So that is what we see there. So then what is the state of the mind? In the mind also, there is always a constant clash, or rather tussle among these three gunas. So what is the state of the mind? Atha nirodha chitta kshaneshu chalam gunavrittamiti kidrushaha tada chitta parinamaha. Chitta parinamaha. The transformation of mind. Chitta parinamaha, the transformation in mind. Chittasya parinamaha. Kidrushaha. How is it? What is going on? Why? Atha nirodha chitta kshaneshu. In those moments of nirodha. Plural, of course, he has used it. Kshaneshu means for a long time that it goes on. For a long time that samadhi goes on. So that is why he has used a plural. So nirodha chitta kshaneshu. In those moments of that nirodha, when the mind is in that complete state of nirodha, we know that chalam gunavrittam. Gunavrittam, gunanam character. Gunavrittam means gunanam character. Gunanam, the nature of gunas is to be chalam. Chalam means to be very fickle. Chalam, and chalam is moving. So the gunavritti, the nature of gunas is to be just volatile, to be volatile. So we know that these are volatile. Then what is the state of mind? So the gunas are active or volatile by nature. So if so, what is the transformation of mind during those restrained moments? So because the mind is also a product of the three gunas. So there is a sutra now. Vyatthana nirodha sanskarayoho abhibhava pradurbhavo nirodha kshana chittanvayo nirodha parinamaha. Rather long sutra. So here what he is saying is, in that nirodha kshana means at the time when this mind is totally come under control, that is all the chitta vrittis are under control, then of course the mind being the product of these three gunas, what happens? There are certain vyatthana samskaras. We know that samskaras are those latent impressions, all those potential things which are there, the subliminal things which are there in the mind, in the subconscious, let us say. So those things, there are certain things which are trying to rise up. I was giving the example of Rakta Bija. So that Rakta Bija tries to get up. Then again, there are certain positive samskaras also. Because negative samskaras were built up by certain negative transactions in our life. Because right from childhood in our life, we have come across so many things, good, bad, and so many things. And those things, they have all produced samskaras in us. So there are certain bad samskaras. And they have not yet risen. When they rise, that becomes a vritti. So they are there and about to rise with thana samskara. And again, there are certain good things also. I have gone to a teacher, I have studied Vedanta, I have done this, I have done that, I have practiced some yoga, and also trying to practice some shama, dhamma, etc. Not merely at an intellectual level. Suppose I am also practicing some shama, dhamma, titiksha, and all these things, and also suppose I am practicing karma yoga. Then naturally, this positive samskaras, they are called the nirodha samskaras. Nirodha samskaras are those which will suppress or which will check the vyatthana samskaras. So when my bad tendencies try to rise, then this nirodha samskara automatically at the subconscious level itself, it subsides it, or rather it suppresses it, even at the subconscious level. Even then they come on to the mind. When they come to the mind, they become vrittis and they become jnana. So even prior to that, when the mind is in that state of samadhi, these nirodha, this vyatthana samskaras are just checked. Every second they are checked by these nirodha samskaras. So that is what is the sutra's meaning. There are two types of samskaras. As I said, Vyuthana Nirodha Samskara. Yeah, we'll come to this breakup. Vyuthana Nirodha Samskara Yoho Abhibhava Pradurbhava. So, Vyuthana Samskarasya Abhibhava. Nirodha Samskarasya Pradurbhava. That is how it is Anvaya. Vyuthana Samskara gets defeated, Abhibhava. So, some tendency, it wants to rise up. So, then Nirodha Samskara puts it down. Vyuthana Nirodha Samskara Yoho. He is talking about two samskaras, that is Vyuthana Samskara and Nirodha Samskara. So one Vyuthana Samskara wants to come up, then Tasya Abhibhavaha Bhavati. That is, it gets defeated. By what? By the Nirodha Samskara. So Nirodha Samskarasya Pradurbhavaha. That is, Nirodha Samskara dominates Pradurbhava. It comes into focus, it comes into limelight, and then limelight means it doesn't come into Chittam. If it comes into Chittam, it again becomes a Jnana. So at the subconscious level itself, this tussle goes on. Vyuthana Nirodha Samskarayoho Abhibhava Pradurbhavo. Then again what? Nirodha Kshana Chittanvayaha. So Chittam, the mind, it Anvaya. Anvaya means continuing. Anu Aya. Aya Dhatu. Aya means to Gatau. Aya Gatau. Anvaya means moving along in the same stream. So Nirodha Kshana Chitta Anvaya. So Chittam is moving in the same direction, in the Nirodha status only, in the Nirodha state only, the Nirodha plane only, the Chittam is moving. Nirodha Kshana Chittanvayaha. Nirodha Parinamaha. This is the Parinama called Nirodha, which happens in the mind. Nirodha Parinamaha. Here, we can also say Nirodhasya Parinamaha, but then commentators have said it is Nirodha Nama Parinamaha. That is a change, because in the Avatarika, what did he ask? Kidrushaha tada chitta parinamaha. That is what he said. What is that parinama? What is the transformation which goes on in the mind? So that is why it is said Nirodha Parinamaha. It is that parinama or that transformation or that particular state in which the mind is totally free of all chitta vrittis, and at the subconscious state, there is a tussle between the negative and positive samskaras. Vyuthana samskaras want to rise up, and the Nirodha samskaras, they check them. So that is what we see in this sutra. The Nirodha Shana Chitta Anvaya. So Chittam is Anvaya. It is continuing in that Nirodha state only. So that is what is called, that transformation is called Nirodha transformation. Let me show the Abhibhava Pradurbhava, the defeat and the rise of Vyuthana Nirodha Samskarayoho, of the worldly and the restraining samskaras. Okay, then of course the off can come here. The defeat and rise, off can come here actually. Of the worldly and restraining samskaras. Nirodha Kshana Chittanvayaha, the continuance of mind in that state of restraint. The mind is continuing in that Nirodha state only. So that is what is called Nirodha Parinamaha. It is called the modification. It is the modification called Nirodha. Then the translation is the defeat of worldly samskaras with the rise of restraining samskaras. The outgoing samskaras, what are this Vyuthana? Vyuthana means rising. Vyuthana, the mind in that potential state is just rising. That is what is Vyuthana. That may, in fact, for that we can say worldly samskaras. The defeat of worldly samskaras with the rise of restraining samskaras, leading to the continuance of mind in the state of restraint. The mind continues to be in that state of restraint. That is the modification called Nirodha. A rather complicated sentence, so that is why a long line. Then here I have explained in that note, you see, there can be continuous or occasional rise of worldly samskaras. Of course, Sutra says continuous. I have used that word occasional. Maybe I can remove that also. Continuous or occasional rise of worldly samskaras, but they are immediately checked by the restraining samskaras. So the samskaras are there. They are checked by the restraining samskaras. Thus, the mind continues to be in the restrained state. The mind is not disturbed by this tussle because it is at the level of samskaras and not at the level of pratyaya. So the commentator is making a difference between samskara and pratyaya. In the next line we are going to see, he is going to make a difference between pratyaya is a vritti. Pratyaya, vritti, that vritti is a knowledge. Whereas samskara, it is still in that potential stage. It has not yet become a pratyaya. So it is at the level of samskaras and not at the level of pratyaya. This subtle difference we have to note. Pratyaya is again knowledge, in which the mind is the knower. When there is a pratyaya, there is a knower also. When there is knowledge, there is a knower also. Whereas the subconscious level, that samskara, it is not coming to notice. When it rises only, it comes to notice. Hence, the samskaras are latent impressions, as we noted. Hence, the tussle is at the subconscious state, not known by the mind as pratyaya or knowledge. So, this is what we are going to see in this next 2-3 lines. Vyuttana samskaraha chitta dharmaha nate pratyayatmakaha iti pratyaya nirodhe na niruddhaha. So, these outgoing samskaras, vyuttana samskaraha, they are the property of the mind. Chitta dharmaha. Not only Vitthana Samskara, Nirodha Samskaras are also Chitta Dharma. He's going to say in the next line. All the Samskaras are the property of the mind. They are there, the latent impressions which are there in the mind, stored in the mind. But of course, we have to see the difference between this and also Vedanta. Vedanta Shastra talks about the elimination of Samskaras also. Here, of course, the elimination of Samskaras is not talked about. So the mind remains at the level of what is that? Samskara Sheshaha. That is what it says. Samskara Shesho Anyaha. So Virama Pratyayabhyasa Purva Samskara Shesho Anyaha. So the mind remains in that state of samskaras, it says. Whereas Vedanta says even the samskaras have to be eliminated. So long as the samskara is there, it can rise up. So the samskaras, the positive samskaras have to be so strong that the negative samskaras, they totally die. So that is what it says. We don't know what to prefer. We can choose whatever you want to choose. Vedanta stand is that, particularly in that Vedanta, that Jivan Mukti Viveka of this Vidyaranya. So there is a big chapter called Vasana Kshaya and Mano Nasha. Mano Nasha is one chapter. Vasana Kshayam is one chapter. The Vasana Kshayam is that chapter in which this samskara kshaya is totally discussed. So the Advaita Vedanta talks about elimination of the samskaras also. So here what we see, they are not restrained when the pratyayas or vrittis are restrained. So that is what it means. Nate pratyayatmakaha. Nate pratyayatmakaha means they are not of the nature of knowledge. They become knowledge only when the pratyayas come into existence. When the samskara turns into vritti. When the samskara turns into pratyaya or knowledge, then only we can say pratyayatmaka. So they have not yet come. They are still trying to raise their head. Even at that level, the positive samskaras, they have checked them. Iti pratyaya nirodhe na niruddhaha. So pratyaya nirodha is done by dhyanam, etc. By mere pratyaya nirodha, the samskaras are not they are not restrained. Samskaras are very much there. So pratyayas are restrained. Samskaras are not restrained. So samskaras are restrained by positive samskaras. So at a lower level, without our knowledge, this sort of puzzle goes on. So these pratyayas, the vrittis are restrained. I hope you understood this line. Vyuttana samskaraha chitta dharmaha nate pratyayatmakaha iti pratyaya nirodhe aniruddhaha. When during this samadhi, when we are doing this pratyaya nirodham, pratyayanam nirodha, that is when we are trying to eliminate all the chitta vrittis, then the samskaras are not yet negated. Samskaras are there, very much there. So that is what it says. Nirodha samskara api chitta dharmaha. This is again the line. Nirodha samskara, like outgoing Vyuttana samskara, is a property of the mind. Nirodha samskara also is a property of mind. Tayoho abhibhava chitta dharmaha. Tayoho abhibhava pradurbhava. So abhibhava means defeat, pradurbhava means rising up. So as and how they rise, they are defeated by the Nirodha samskara. So Vyuttana samskara hiyante. Hiyante means they just diminish, they just decline. Vyuttana samskaras, they perish. And Nirodha samskaraha adhiyante. Adhiyante means they dominate. Adhanam, that is coming over. So Nirodha samskaraha adhiyante, they dominate. So let me read the translation. Even the restraining samskaras are the property of the mind. They are the property of the mind. The defeat of outgoing samskara, I should have written samskara, the defeat of the outgoing samskara is due to the rise of restraining samskaras. The rise of the restraining samskaras, that is nirodha samskaras. So the outgoing samskaras, they weaken, and the restraining samskaras, they dominate. Adiyante, they dominate. Then nirodha kshanam chittam anveti. Chittam nirodha kshanam anveti. That is Anvaya. Chittam nirodha kshanam anveti. So that is the sutra, in this portion of the sutra. Nirodha kshana chittanvayah. Nirodha kshana chittanvayah. That is, chittam is the continuance of mind in the state of restraint. So at a lower level, this battle is going on. At a lower level only, that is sorted out also. That is totally sorted out in your favor. So the mind continues to be in that, and mind is not disturbed. So when the mind is not disturbed, at the level of samskaras, the fight has taken place, and at the level of samskaras itself, the fight is solved in your favor. So nirodha kshanam chittam anveti. So chittam continues to be in the nirodha kshanam. Anveti, anugacchati, anuveti, anveti. Then tad ekasya chittasya pratikshanam idam samskaranyathatvam nirodha parinamaha. Tat, therefore, ekasya chittasya, for the one mind only, for one mind, pratikshanam, every minute, he says there is a continuous tussle between the positive and negative samskaras. Pratikshanam idam samskaranyathatvam. The samskaras, they are always there in a state of flux. Samskara anyathatvam. They are trying to rise, and something is trying to rise, something is shaking it. So that sort of neutralization, it is a continuous process. Samskara anyathatvam nirodha parinamaha. This parinama of the mind is called nirodha. Nirodha nama parinamaha. That's all. Then the mind continues to be in the moment of restraint. Then thus, the constant flux of samskaras happening in the mind is the modification called nirodha. Tada samskara shesham chittamiti nirodha samadhau vyakhyatam. So nirodha samadhi, that I was referring to the sutra 1-18. So there samskara shesham chittam iti nirodha samadhau vyakhyatam. So mind remains in that state of just a potential state where the samskaras are there. Potential state with when supreme dispassion, paravairagya, is practiced. So when paravairagya is practiced, the mind just remains in the state of samskaras only. But this is again slightly, it is a way to meditate more, not meditate, think more on that. Because whether Vedanta Shastra's contention is right, or whether this is right, or whether both are saying the same thing, I am not very sure. I don't think both are saying the same thing. Because there, vasana chaya, total eradication, it is said. But here it is said that there are certain vasanas. There are certain vasanas which are checked by the positive vasanas. So this tussle is there at the lower level. But the mind is not yet conscious of it because they have not come to the mind level. Mind level means they have not become a vritti. When they become vrittis, they become knowledge and they come to the mind level. So that is what this sutra says. Then this next sutra we'll see in the next class. Tasya prashanta vahita samskara, some 3-4 minutes are there. We'll see in the next class. If there are any questions, let us see.
Thank you, sir. Sumitji is asking, sir, in sutra number 9, you remarked that when samskaras comes to chitta level, it becomes jnana. What is the locus of these samskaras before it comes to chitta?
That is what I am also wondering. So the question is, what is the difference between samskara and chitta? Samskara and vritti. So you just read that question again. I was trying to.
Yeah. You remarked that when samskaras comes to chitta level, it becomes jnana. What is the locus of these samskaras before it comes to chitta?
Yeah, it has to be, we have to again visualize the mind at 2 levels. One is at a conscious level and the other is at a subconscious level. Though it is not overtly stated, it is not very overtly stated. We have to visualize that the mind is at, it is there in 2 levels. That what is, there is a subconscious level in which vrittas are there. This samskaras are there. So if you read that 18, 1-18, in that 1-18, it says samskara sheshaha. There again, the commentary also said salambano yasya. What does it say? Samadhi, yeah. Sarva vritti pratyastamaye. It says sarva vritti pratyastamaye. When all the vrittis have totally astamaya means they totally
eradicated.
Then samskara sheshaha, nirodhaha, chittasya samadhihi asamprajnata. Samskara sheshaha. Samskaras are remaining. So that is what. So that means there is some level called subconscious level. And whatever samskara is there, that samskara, suppose, what are the samskaras? When I look at a thing, I used to entertain, suppose, love, hate, etc., etc. So now also, suppose I look at a thing. Now that samskara may try to rise up. And my positive samskara is just suppressing it. My positive samskara is just suppressing it even at that level. It has not yet come to me. That hate, the element of hate, or rather the element of raga, it doesn't come to me at all. So the element of raga, when it comes to my mind, then it becomes jnana. When it does not come to my mind, it is there sorted out at the lower level only. Even when I look at an object and I don't have any raga, dvesha or anything, all those chitta, what are the properties of the mind? That Upanishad says, kamas sankalpo vichikitsa, dhrutihi, adhrutihi, dhihi, bhihi, all those things, they are all the mind. What is mind? Mind is a collection of all these things. So when these things, they don't come to my mind, when I look at a thing that raga doesn't come to my mind and dvesha does not come to my mind, then it means that my earlier samskara, whatever negative samskara was there, it is totally checked by the positive samskara. Whereas Vedanta says that negative samskara has totally gone. Chitta, what is that, vasana, kshaya. But here it says it is there, but then it is checked by the negative, the nirodha samskara, restraining samskara. So that slight difference between knowledge and samskara, that is what is mentioned here. You see, this particular line is important. Yeah, Vyatthana samskaraha chitta dharmaha nate pratyayatmakaha. This is the line which we have to understand very clearly. Vyatthana samskaraha, they are the property of the chitta, but they are not knowledge. They are in the chitta, which means the chitta is again in two levels. In two levels, some subconscious level. So that is not mentioned here, but we have to visualize like that because the Vyakhya is accordingly, it says accordingly.
Thank you, sir. Sai Vihalataji is asking, Namo Namaha, regarding samskaras, can these be called impressions in the mind of this Janma and past Janmas? Is the step-by-step process that Patanjali outlines the way to erase these from even the subconscious mind?
Yeah, we have not come across so far, we have not come across any way of erasing these things from the subconscious mind, because that 1-18 was the final statement. 1-18 was the final statement where it said that Nirodha Samskara, that is highest, not Nirodha, that Paravairagya is the highest level. In that highest level, the Samskara Shesha is very much there. Samskara Shesha is there. And regarding the other aspect which she asked, that is, these samskaras can belong to the earlier birth also, because the mind is a collection of all those things. When the mind goes from one body, mind means what? When a jiva is that subtle body. When the subtle body goes from one body to another body, then that entire baggage goes. That entire baggage of all these impressions and all those things, they go, all these samskaras, they go. And because of these samskaras only, in the next janma also, there is a propensity for some action. There is some sort of a particular skill manifests in him. There is a particular, what can we say, tendency. The tendency or propensity we can see. So they belong to previous janmas and also any number of transactions in this janma also. So in this janma and also earlier janmas, they do produce samskaras. And over a period of time, that negative samskaras, they get weakened if we are in the right path. If we are in the right path, naturally, over a period of time, they get eliminated. Yeah.
Dhanyawadaha, sir. A small announcement for viewers. We are going to share the notes, updated notes during next class.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
In fact, I want to, from now on, I want to skip, because skip in the sense, not skip. I want to skim through certain sutras which talk about siddhis, because totally we have not seen siddhis. So because if I talk about siddhis and then say, okay, I can do akasha gamanam, etc., it doesn't convince me. So I will be skimming through those things. And where again there is some aspect relating to the psychological issue, yoga psychology, then we will see the commentary. When the yoga psychology is not there, we'll skip it. So that skip means skim through. Just I will only explain the sutra, not going through the bhashyam. So that is what we will do.
Thank you very much, sir. Namaskaram.
Thank you. Okay, Hari Om. That's it.